Hi, Matt. Are you with
Hello.
us?
Hey,
Hey, Matt, how are you?
doing well. How are you guys doing?
Good. So I'm Amber Miller from Alt 104.5. I'm just here to do the proper introductions and then you guys can do your thing. You got
Amazing.
Rob from Phoenixville and this cutie who I think is totally going to steal the show and the interview is
Hello, Matt.
Adley.
Hey, how's it going,
So
guys?
we're going to
Great.
do 10 minutes and 45 seconds. And yeah, you guys just chatted up. We're so excited for the show.
Well, thank you, Amber.
Rob, I know you prepared some sort of talking point.
Thank you. So let's start with the wonderful city of Philadelphia, which we know is known for a lot of great, not only genres of music, but also great bands. So talk a little bit about just growing up in the area and how that has impacted your music.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think growing up here, actually, I'm lucky because people in the band and stuff always say like, "Well, what's your first concert?" And it's usually like something relatively embarrassing. But my parents are big fans of Bruce Springsteen, which I guess isn't really a uniquely Philly thing, but it's sort of, I think we kind of claim him as our own. And so I was fortunate enough I saw Bruce Springsteen at my first concert ever. I grew up when I decided I wanted to be, I don't know if I decided I wanted to be a songwriter then, but when I was first writing songs, bands that I looked up to, like Dr. Dog, were playing around the city, and I was able to go see them, and the thrill of knowing that they were from around where I was growing up, and then fast forward, I'm a huge fan of the War on Drugs and Kurt Vile, and so much of just stuff that I look up to has come from here. So it's easy to be like, when you're I think deciding to try to make it a career, it's easier to picture it when you've seen people from around where you're from pull it off.
Excellent. And then going to the West Coast. So I'm one of 5 children. 3 of my siblings have moved out to the West Coast, including San Francisco, outside of Seattle, Washington, and Las Vegas, Nevada. And things are also very different there musically. And I think that gives a great blend to your band and your music as well. So can you speak to that a little bit, please?
Yeah, I think if you've got family out there, then you understand a little bit. People kind of always told me growing up here, like, oh, you're gonna love the West Coast. It fits your personality. It's more laid back, and to some extent, they're probably more similar than they are different. But I think it is true that it's a little more laid back, and I think some of the sort of elements of our music definitely, were impacted by the fact that when we were first writing these songs, we were able to go to the beach and be amongst warm weather all the time. And, I think there's some of that lightness kind of shown through, at least on the first record. And yeah, I think not to mention, it's also Los Angeles is also a great town to make music in. Tons of resources, and we put our band together out there, and so obviously we're grateful to just so many musicians out there that are trying to make it and making it, and so it makes it a lot easier. I don't know if it's a lot easier, but it made it relatively easy for us. We were lucky to put a band together, and we've stayed together ever since.
Oh, you're on mute.
Thank you. One of the things that I think about with your music is that it's very relatable, and also looking at the perspective of Mount Joy, not really what everyone thinks of when they think about Philadelphia, but we do have a lot of wonderful pockets of landscape and trails that we can go walk in and hike in, from national parks to local parks. And so can you also speak to that as well? Because I think it is quite evident in your music.
Yeah, I mean, I've moved back. I don't know if that's news or anything, but my apartment, my lease or whatever in Los Angeles was up a few months ago, and I decided to move back to the Philadelphia area. And a lot of that is just, you know, I spent a lot of the pandemic here, and yeah, like obviously I grew up mostly in the suburbs outside of Philadelphia, where there's lots of green area and places to get out and walk and bike or whatever, run, whatever you're into. And I think more so even within the city, now, you know, that I'm living in the city, I think there's plenty of places, whether it's, you know, Wissahickon or, you know, even just honestly, I think Philly does a great job with its park space. There's plenty of places like, you know, actually right where I am, there's this little park where I'm actually moving to like Queen Village, but right now I'm in kind of like, I guess it's sort of like in between Fairmount and Logan Square. And there's a great little park that, you know, we go to. It's called Julian Von Abel Park, I think. I think I may be messing that up actually, but and we go there every day with our dog and sit in the grass. And yeah, I don't know. I think Philly is probably underrated in its ability to sort of get away from the concrete jungle that big cities often have.
I agree with that. They do a great job of building community and also integrating through a lot of the events that they have, from everything ranging from the Roots Picnic to also utilizing that shared space from the parks and the trails as well. In regards to the current climate that we're in, and from a writing standpoint, there's been a lot of material and opportunity that, being a non-traditional writer, we're also all going through a lot. Can you speak to that and your creative process during this time as well, being on quarantine?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's two sides to it. You know, on one hand, you know, we don't get to tour, and that is sort of terrifying for a music business that has been really cornered into touring as its main, you know, source of revenue for artists. And so that's scary. But then, like you're mentioning, on the other hand, it gives us all an opportunity to really sit and reflect and write and be creative outside of, you know, traveling around, which, you know, for I think a lot of artists is sort of the one thing that sits between them and having enough time to write. So it's been really great to be able to do that. And then the second part of it, I think, is what you brought up, which is just, you're also writing in this crazy climate. You know, it's a weird world to be a part of for all of us. And I think at times it's been really inspiring, and I'm excited about some of the stuff that I'm writing. But, you know, then there's this other part of it that, you know, you just, for everyone's sake and for the safety and well-being of people, you just wish that, you know, you were writing about or writing in a different environment. So, you know, it's a bit of a double-edged sword. I think there's going to be really incredible art, probably some really bad art too that comes from this time period. But you know, I certainly, like everybody else, you know, I'm living through this, and I would trade that good art for, you know, people's well-being every time.
Along with that, even going from the way that you were able to meet your drummer with the way that technology has continued to advance, not only and connect everyone, what are some collaborations that you have the opportunity to work on during this time through that connection, or ones that you would like to build upon in the future?
That's a good one. You know, I've had a couple, you know, just kind of Zoom writing sessions. Not sure, you know, where those will go, or what I can really like necessarily say about them, just without the other person's permission. Really, I don't really care. But you know, those have been cool. They're interesting. Not as good as the real thing, as like being in a room with someone and, you know, really being able to, you know, feel the energy. But you know, I don't know about like ones that I would want. I know we've been in touch with some bands recently, just starting to think about like, you know, if we're going to be cooped up for this long, like how can we work together and make some stuff. So nothing really solid on that front yet, but you know, and then with our own band, like you said, I think it's weird. It's like you've probably felt this, but the sort of timeline of the quarantine pandemic situation has been like, you know, in the beginning there was like, you know, everyone was hanging out on Zoom on weekends and doing the cocktail hour, and then there was the Tiger King era, and then, you know, like everything sort of after that, right? But I think music's been very similar. You know, we all started out, we were very like, let's all like make as many recordings together from afar as we can. And then I feel like bands sort of realized like, this isn't the best quality we've ever created, and we're just sort of wasting our time. And so I feel like that's a bit in the past. I mean, certainly if opportunities come up, I think bands are willing to do it. But I think it's more turned to like really trying to, you know, we just actually secured like a space out in Chester County where we can all just get in a room together and play and write and prepare for the next chapter together when it's, you know, rather than, you know, trying to use all the technology, which I think was great in the beginning. And I think bands were not immune to that. We really got on board, and then you're kind of like, I don't know if this is the most efficient use of my time.
Hey Rob, I'm gonna give you the heads up. One final question, okay? I want to make sure we're conscious of Matt's time.
Thank you. So if you have the opportunity to give advice to the next wave of musicians or the high school students that are right now having some of that angst and stress with going back to school, what is your advice to them as from a musician's perspective?
In terms of their anxiety with going back to school, or as it relates to music?
Both in general.
Okay. I mean, I think for me, I now more than ever in this pandemic, I value my education. You never know. It doesn't matter how talented you think you are at any sport or specific thing outside of getting education is super, super important. And to have that opportunity isn't something you should take for granted. I mean, you know, we talk all the time, like, you know, at some point, if we never get to go back to shows and shows never come back, like I'm going to have to lean on my education as much as everyone else is. And I feel like without that, you know, it doesn't matter who you are, you need to go and get your education and be prepared for the challenges, which are obviously very clear, significant challenges that we face on this planet. So, you know, go get your education and make sure you're prepared for that.
Thank you very much for your time, Matt, and the questions. And we can't wait for the show tomorrow.
Thank you, Robert. And was it Cassie?
Adley?
Adley. Oh, so cute.
Thank you, Matt.
You guys
She's going to be there tomorrow too.
Oh, amazing. Thank you. Amazing questions. Thank you very much. Those were very thoughtful questions. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you, Amber.
Thanks, Rob. Thank you so much, Matt. Bye,
Thank
Adley.
you, guys.
Bye. Have a great show tomorrow.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.